Please express to the board that they also, for $800, kept all those trees down in the road that the DEP required. Remember that little add-on?
Yes.
Did an excellent, excellent job. He said they just take such care. They fixed those spots, and you wouldn't even know. He said that it looks so nice there, and he just felt that it was far superior to anyone's done it before. That's just from Gary.
Matt, your thoughts? You've been dealing with this for a long, long, long time.
Well, my thought is, first a couple of things. We were talking about should we put the contract out for 3 years, and I think we had to steer away from that financially because you have to have the funds allocated towards it, and so that's why we backed off on that. But at that time, it was 2 mows a year. We've now gone down to one mow per year.
Yep.
So that right there cuts the big bill in half. I don't know about 3 years, that seems a little extended to me, but I don't have a problem,
Extending 1 year?
yeah, going for a 2-year contract.
It's up to the board.
But that's completely up to how this board feels, it doesn't matter to me. As far as who does it, I still think it should go out to bid. We've never had a contractor not do a good job. I know this guy's getting above and beyond, and that's what we wanna see, but we've never had a contractor, we've never had anybody that's done the job and then us say, that's not right.
Okay.
And I think maybe as a board, a couple things have happened. One, our expectations of how it's supposed to look out there after the mowing, that I think the board, and now that we have Gary going out and inspecting it, so if we do have Company X go out and they do some scalping or they do something that's not up to par, that's the time to correct it and say, guys, you can't scalp it or you can't, so I think it's mowing grass, it's not rocket science. I think we should put it out to bid
2 years?
for a 2-year contract. Certainly give these guys and past bidders the chance to bid on it.
Okay.
That's my thought.
I'm good with a 2 year. I think it would save redoing the whole process every year. This would still have to go out for a new bid with the understanding that it would be a 2-year contract. What are your thoughts, Kathleen?
I would check your agree with what
Yeah.
I don't know if it has to go to an official bid either, because it's under a certain dollar value. So we could reach out to whatever companies we wanted to
Oh,
get.
you're saying by official, we don't have to necessarily post it in the newspaper and here at Town Hall and all this other
I
places?
don't think so. We could. That's going to give us our best bang for
Put
the
it in the
buck.
newspaper,
It was pricey.
That is-
$750.
Oh, yeah.
So we decided just to call people around, and we did, we posted it somewhere because he's pretty far away. And we just called everyone.
Stores, Connecticut.
Stores, Connecticut. So he found out, so whatever medium we had to send out, must have been pretty good because he found it.
So how did you do it? How did you send it out?
I think we posted it on the town's website and
There you go.
and
Free.
free. And then we, word of mouth, we called everybody. Anyone who's ever applied before, anyone in landscaping business, and some people just chose not to, not interested in landscape mowing.
How many did we get last year?
3.
We got 3. So I would, again, my opinion, I would say we'd send out specifically to these 3 because they showed an interest prior. Say we're interested in doing a 2-year contract with a mowing with, I'm assuming, the same parameters that we've had in the past, unless there's woody vegetation that is not a concern this year, but.
It is a concern, and Gary said would have to include another $800 in that for projected costs for the cleanup. The DEP has mandated that we keep, Jim McQuaid, that we keep that road, the old landfill. It started to have some growth. There was actually a tire that a tree grew. The tree was this big and the tire was around the tree, so we cut that down, took that out.
Okay, so this will be a yearly thing of cutting back saplings.
They want to cut back, that's
Okay.
it's part of the request. Gary's also going to submit his costs for the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So I think the second part of the conversation is like after someone mows it, we have a better set of eyes going on it now. Gary's going out and there's that third party inspector that we talked about.
Tessa, yeah.
That's gonna
Tessa
go out. So,
She's very good.
yeah, so I don't think that may have been as thorough, the inspections may not have been as thorough in the past. And that's why maybe some scalping got overlooked or whatnot, and the woody vegetation. Now that we have a better understand, you know, Gary's got us right under his wing and saying, this is what we need to do. We didn't necessarily have Gary at the very beginning of this, so.
Because when he was done, like Matt said, Gary was right there to look at his work while he was there.
Yeah,
So
before he left.
He held his, feet to the fire on it. Before he left, hey, wait a minute, you just scalped that area. He wouldn't let him leave until it was fixed. So
Right.
you're right, we have more oversight on that. And the third-party engineer is just, she's even caught a few things that Gary didn't, that need to be done on the board's behalf, and she did a good job.
And with that being said, that's why I feel confident with whoever we hire. Of course, we want as good a service as we got in the last one, and he had the best bang for the buck and did a great job, so, probably would be what happened again, but whoever does the job, they have to do it right, or they have to, they're gonna have to do it right. So,
And I think Matt's right, because you might want him, but accountability, you can at least tell the general public that you went out for bid and you took a lower bid.
Okay. Right?
So you're conscientious with the cost.
True. Kathleen?
I'm good.
So I think we're good. Matt, you wanna make a motion to put this out for bid for a 2-year?
yeah, I make a motion that we put the landfill mowing out for a 2-year contract, and by means of contacting, you say anybody that has showed
How
interest
about
in
if we
this?
use the same medium we did for the posting of that? I don't wanna misspeak
Okay.
here, but I'm not sure, because we did find some good people.
Do we also, I would like to add, because these folks were kind enough to go on out, view it, send in their proposals, is there a median, whether it's a phone or
We'll
email?
personally call them.
Personally call them, great, thank you.
And
That
you
way
want the
they-
bids by the next meeting?
I would think so. Do we have everything we need as far as description is Gary good with the description?
Yeah,
It's just gonna
I'll
be a-
send it over for him to review
Okay.
before we put it out, and ask him if he needs to add anything.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe he already changed it last year. I sent it to him before I sent it out last year, and then I had Andrea send it to everyone. And he did make one change, so
Okay.
it may be still good.
So all you have to do is just change it to a 2-year contract,
Yep.
make sure they know it's a 2-year deal, and then we'll wait for the bids.
Okay.
Perfect. So you made a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Anything else on Flint Road from Gary?
He's been there. He was doing his annual testing. He's fighting off the ticks, but he's was just there again, doing the corrective action from our third-party engineer.
Okay.
So he's going to be writing up a proposal for his next bid for the following fiscal year. We do have monies already, because that's something that Tessa brought up. Does the town of Charlton have FAM? And I said, well, we have money set aside in the Board of Health control for payment of oversight of the landfill.
What's
So that's-
FAM?
FAM is a financial assurance mechanism
Okay.
for the proper closure of and monitoring of the landfill.
But that's allocated on a yearly basis, isn't it?
Well, it's like, no, a lot of it, FAM money is there, and it stays in that account, but we
Like
ran
an
out.
escrow?
Yeah. Well, can only be used for the landfill.
Right.
And you have to send that number into, and we had to send it into to the DEP wants to know that Charlton has the appropriate funding to assure that they're doing their due diligence to follow the regulations.
Okay, good.
But we've had some issues in the past where we had to, when Matt was on the board, we had to go and ask for more money from the town, and it's probably not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, you guys sent me down there.
I didn't, the rest of your board did. They said that you were the most
The senior
elegant
person.
speaker.
Yeah.
I think you were the junior person
I
on the
was
board
the
then.
junior person
Oh,
on the
okay.
board, I got
You
thrown.
did a good job.
Throw in
You
the
did a good
fire.
job, we got the money.
We got the money.
So.
So will we see Gary Magnuson from CMG at any time in the future?
He was going to come to tonight's meeting to express what he's done to the board and what he's gonna propose. He is going to send me some information, but he had a meeting he had to be at, he could not make it.
That's fine. So next meeting, if he's available, he will come
He's
before the
going to
board
come
and
to the
say,
next meeting."
here's my proposal for my costs. I can't believe
Yes.
it's been a year already.
Yeah.
Seems like he was just here asking for the,
Exactly.
here's what my plan is, here's what the cost is gonna be, broken
And
down.
then this board
everything.
sat down with the selectmen and they approved extra funding, because we didn't have enough money. And that's something that, you know, we try and be conscientious about, but eventually we're gonna have to ask, we're gonna need more money for that. We don't have that kind of money to pay for the full cycle, so. And there's a lot of work he does for the town that Robin takes care of, that we paid out of here that should have come out of what he does for the town, so we're gonna figure that cost out. But it all comes out, it comes out of the same thing anyway.
Okay. Anything else on Flint Road landfill, or landfills? One of the things I do want to bring up at last night's candidates night, I had 3 minutes to talk, and then I thought I had, I'll just have a couple more minutes to wrap things up, and I can. So the only thing I really talked about was during the 3 minutes was water contamination. But I did mention that our Board of Health has sent out 9 letters to 9 residences on Burlingame Road asking for their permission for us to test their well at no cost to them due to Gary's, I didn't say Gary's, but the engineer.
That suggestion.
Matt's suggestion. Oh, sorry, okay.
It's fine.
Because Matt suggested it years ago, and it was a good thing, and
Right,
it's just.
but anyway, so
I thought
that's,
it was there too.
okay. But regardless, I mean, I made sure that the town knew that this board was being
Yeah.
proactive with our landfill, with potential contamination for any wells downstream from where any runoff and groundwater flow would probably go based on Gary's recommendation. And we did test only 1 well, that's all we had permission to do, and it came back clean. So that was brought up at the meeting. But I also brought up landfill, the Sturbridge, Southbridge landfill, and what's going on down that part of town. You know, we're kind of monitoring that, making sure that everything's all set.
They've been putting in additional wells, we've had some odor complaints.
Yes,
Melissa, and her husband Mark had to step out of the house to, I think he reported a 2 and you had a 4. I went out there.
My wife, she said it was a 4
Yeah.
that she reported
I
as.
did drive out there, and I could smell it. I think they're working on putting in additional wells, whether that was open or whatever, but there was an order for sure.
That was Sunday too. and
Yeah.
I didn't think any work was being done on Sunday.
There's no work being done on Sunday, that's why I'm thinking it's weather related, maybe the rain opened up an area, and you had some, you know, off gassing,
Yeah.
so, but certainly, I think there's an Aaron Banford who's doing it. Nicole is no longer working for Burton Engineering, she does not do the odor responses. So, his paperwork hasn't been that good. I had to straighten him out a couple times and say, you need to send it to everyone, you need to send it to here, and you have to fill it out, he's left blank. I said, do you realize that this form is blank? And he's, I'll get it right back to you. So I think he's got a little learning curve himself, but I think he's actually reported higher odors than Nicole has. So, but I'm not sure what's going on with that. But certainly, the water line is moving along. We're working to help Time Bond get the last 8 houses who just won't answer their mail or their phone calls, or to get them to sign that so they can do the tie-in plan and get the permission to get on their property and cut the trees.
Otherwise, the cost is gonna be incurred by the homeowner.
Well, it just delays the work.
Yeah, but at some point, they're just gonna say, we're not gonna leave the.
You're right.
We're not gonna leave the.
Well, one of them
equipment
is
here.
abandoned, so it's up for sale, so I can understand at 93. I actually went there with the police, because her car door was open and they couldn't get in to do the testing of the filtration, so DP asked me to step in. So I brought a police officer with me, because I thought something might have happened to her, because her car door was open for a long time. She was inside sleeping, she did come out. They ran her plate, unfortunately she didn't have a driver's license, so I told her not to drive, and we picked up the trash and stuff, but they did get in to do the filtration, and she moved out the following week. So, that house is, but I'm trying to get those 6 properties so they can at least get the trees cut, and get permission to get on the property, so. I've been there, left letters, knocked on the door, they're at work, so.
Do you have the numbers?
Yeah, I'll give you a copy of it. And they've been calling me because, there was some late, remember some people signed up late and the DEP said if you have the funds, they will be tied in at no cost.
And the funds are there.
The funds are there, so in my meeting that I'm going to in May, I'm gonna express to them that I know where we are with the funding, we're not over budget, and you cannot charge him, because the DEP said directly, you will not charge anyone when there's funding available. So, working on that.
What's the latest time frame? Do they have a month in mind? Is it gonna be November for
The-
water forming, maybe?
The initial site assessment scope of work document that just came out from the DEP has in it that Sanborn Head says July 2019, but I don't see that happen.
That's
They haven't cut
wishful
into,
thinking.
they haven't cut into any properties yet. They haven't extended any curb stops to homes yet. Haven't finished all the trees yet. So I
Even
don't,
if it's
I don't
3
see it
months
before
after that.
October.
Yeah,
I agree with you on October.
but
November.
before ground freezes and you don't
Or-
get re-landscaped. and
I wouldn't be
I
surprised
do
if
meet
we had at least-
regularly, our meeting is, I think, next week. I'll meet at the DPW and we'll discuss, because I meet for the Exxon Mobil line and I do meet with Town of Southbridge and Time Bond on the Casella line. And our first meeting after a break is coming up and I have a lot to bring up, so I'll keep the board informed of what's going on with that.
What do we have, 90 houses or so to be tied in with the water line roughly?
88.
And potentially another 7 or 8.
They'll be tied in. I'm not, Heather's pretty good, Heather, the DPW director in Southbridge. If there's money available,
Well, I'm saying if you can get a hold of these people. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
mean-
not like this just came up last week or last month or
some
last
people
year.
they don't wanna be bothered, you know, they forget it, but they're missing out on an opportunity and they're holding up the job.
So in that case, they would at least put the what's it, the lateral tie-ins off the.
Yeah, the laterals will be there,
Okay, so at least that'll be there.
yeah.
Well, can only do so much.
Well, we do have a meeting coming up, I have a lot of things to bring up and express. The residents have been calling me all weekend because they see them out there working and, hey, let them come into my property, let them come to my property, so well, sign the paperwork. Get the paperwork in, so we're helping them with the paperwork. Some people wanna go first. We have a guy who's building a house. And it's brand new, and he'd like to get that tied in first, so he can continue on, get the water and finish the house. Then the yard would be done and they wouldn't have to redo it, so,
Yeah.
and they've agreed to do it first. He's,
Mo Bracken.
Jack Scott's daughter's house.
Mo Bracken.
Okay, yeah, that's a very nice guy. So when he came in, I actually called and they said, yeah, we'll put him first. So,
Great.
it's good.
That's good. Let him mess up his foundation.
Exactly.
Before they come to mine.
Yeah.
Well, you
Trial
trial
and
and
error.
work, but you know what I'm talking about, that new house that's
Yeah.
down the street, so. But he's very happy, so.
Any other concerns from the audience? Yes, Mr. Jordan.
Do you know when the pump station will be operational?
They talked about that, and that was the question of the day, no.
I drove
It's in.
by it, it looks like they're
The
making
building's there.
progress.
The building is there,
Yeah.
And
it's placed,
they have no,
I was with Whitewater today at 9 o'clock this morning, I was with Kleinfelder's Engineers, Time Bond, and maybe we'll find out at the May meeting, because they can't do the water line by your house until that pump station's in, so they want it done quickly. So they're moving along, but that's a different meeting, and we haven't met in a while, so I will be meeting, I think, next week on that one. And Southbridge actually won for best waters, medium water supply system in the Commonwealth. So they're getting
6
an award.
reservoirs, right? 6
Yep.
reservoirs.
So we moved our meeting from Monday to Tuesday, I believe, which is normally on Monday, because they're going to get their, or the other way around, because they're going to get an award.
we'll have to take your word for it. We don't have their water yet.
is a little bit off topic, but it is about water. Somebody asked me, why doesn't Charlton have a reservoir of water that's usable for drinking purposes? And I said, good question. I, to be honest, haven't thought about it, but somebody must have.
We may soon. Peter Boyd is working on an area that would potentially have a deep well water supply
Well,
for.
deep well, yeah, but this person was asking, don't you have like reservoirs and things?
You wanna
there?
kick all the people off of all the lakes in town that have houses, so we can use them for reservoirs?
Because if there's any possible contamination from leach fields or outboard motors or,
Yeah, you have to have total protection of those.
how far
reservoirs.
away, do you know?
It's a certain zone where no one can
100
come
feet
in.
or
I
something.
mean, if
Yeah,
you step
I've
on
seen-
that property, there's cameras everywhere, there'll be
Yeah.
someone there in a second.
Yeah,
I do think we have a reservoir. It's on Route 20 behind McClure Engineering across from CVS.
Oh, yeah, you're right, there's something there.
But it's its own process, and I'm not on the water
My
sewer
mother used to
commission.
live there.
Yeah,
don't you have a relative on the water sewer?
I do, so I get bits and pieces of it, but it has to stay chlorinated, the water has to continually be moving and cycling, and so it's its own animal to have that
Right.
thing there. And if you don't use enough water, that's a problem,
Mhm.
but we do have that one there.
And there's nothing, well, this is totally off topic.
I think
but
the
I'm
Water and
just
Sewer
curious.
Commission is currently working on, I think they even purchased some of that property, because they're looking to see if we can have some wells for water supply.
Buffalo, near
I don't think
Buffalo.
they've purchased the properties yet.
No, I think they've done a study, I'm sorry, they did a study for feasibility, is there water there?
And they did a study, didn't they? Wasn't there like $250,000?
Yeah, there was a whole
This
bunch
was
of-
a number of years ago, and I think they actually put some holes in the ground for wells and
The Army Corps turned this down.
at that time, but now we're going not to the same spot.
I was with Peter at the meeting, I will see him at the next meeting, I'll ask him where it's at in that stage. I know he was working on it, I'm not sure what stage he's at.
Just curious. Because there was somebody else who came up to me, more than one person, who said, I'm outside of the area, but they said, this is a little scary with the number of houses that are getting contaminated water. It's good to see water lines coming in, but one of these gentlemen actually asked me, what's the probability that Charlton will have municipal water to all houses? I said, not in our lifetime. I said, all you have to do is look at all the bedrock for 44 square miles, and it would be cost prohibitive. And so they're gonna do what they have to do. And,
I thought those wells, the newer study that they're doing down in Puffinville, I'm under the impression, and I may be wrong, but I'm under the impression that the wells they had did well enough to now take it to the next level, whatever that means.
water quantity and quality, I would assume.
Yeah, whatever it was, there's certain parameters that it has to meet and all that, and I believe they did well enough to take it to the next level as far as, doing the due diligence.
And this is not on Army Corps of Engineers land, correct? It sounds like it, because if they were.
It's near there, but it's not.
It's near there, but it's
Private.
Okay,
private.
interesting. Well, it'd be good to get a secondary source of water regardless of the cost, just to safeguard it for, who knows where it's gonna go. You don't know until you start looking and spending some money and doing the engineering and testing, so that's good. It's heartening to hear. So we're way off on a tangent.
Yeah, on another tangent, this is under new business, but,
Don't worry about it. Have a good night, Joanne.
you know about the Northeast Energy Center, they were putting gas tanks down by the Southbridge line, but they're in Charlton, gasoline.
No?
There's a big, you know about that, Jim? There's a big
I didn't hear what you
meeting
said,
that
I'm sorry.
the Northeast Energy Center is putting in, I think it's gas tanks on the Southbridge line, down 169.
On the Incom property?
I'm not sure whose property it is, but it is gonna be a public meeting on it at Charlton Middle School.
How big would the tanks be?
I don't know much about it. The meeting's on May 29th.
I haven't,
And,
I haven't heard anything about, I know that the other one that was proposed, I think that's gone away.
Which one are you talking about?
The LNG, plant that was.
Off 20?
Yeah, that's, that,
Really?
the owner of the property came in to speak to me.
Recently?
Yeah. Monday.
Okay, because I got notified about this meeting from the Southbridge officials.
He's the one that, I knew nothing about it until he told me about it.
So,
The LNG facility?
Yeah, it was on his property.
Yeah, this is Dan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And he's pulling the plug on the project?
he did.
He did.
he just
Oh, I thought it was
pulled
still
on
a go.
Monday.
He's told me it's not going there.
Okay. Well, I know some people are up in arms. and-
I'm not sure if he did or they decided, there was a change of ownership,
Okay.
so they weren't amendable to, thought it was going to be the right thing, so he said they, I think it was mutual that they're not going in there, but they did end up paying him for certain things he said. But then he talked about they going on the Southbridge line, maybe on the Jay Denarando's property, owner of Incom.
Hmm.
His brother.
Same facility, LNG, you think?
No, I think it's different.
Okay.
Different
Can't keep up
company.
with all this. This is the
No, I
first
can't
I
keep
heard
up.
of the
It's the
LNG.
first I heard when he came in, I had an hour conversation with him.
Yeah. I know him.
Dan Prouty, we're talking about,
Yes.
Mr. Prouty. He
Yeah.
came in and updated me, he has some concerns with
Yeah,
it.
his wife worked with mine for years.
Yep, and I had a nice conversation with him, and he's the one that brought it up. So, other than that, I didn't know about it. So, I heard the rumors that they wanted to go in there, but there was no plan presented.
Oh, I thought there was a plan. I mean, I saw it, I thought like a aerial Google map, and here's where it's gonna go, and here's the access road, and I can't remember what meeting it was at, but I saw.
Nothing was ever presented, but,
Hmm.
because
Just a
he told me
proposal.
he was the owner of the property and they're not going yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if this is the same property. I got this from a counselor in Southbridge, and it's from the Mass Energy Facility Siting Board.
Is it in Southbridge or Charlton?
It's in Charlton. It's right on the Southbridge line.
Nobody's telling this Board of Health about it?
So I
Gas
don't know,
tanks? Big gas tanks?
I'm looking at the email, it doesn't specifically,
Say
It says,
size or.
update on the Charlton Natural Gas Storage Project with major changes. No public hearing Wednesday, May 29th at 7 PM at the Charlton Middle School auditorium. So it's natural gas.
Down near some of the folks, not that far.
Yeah. And
I
that's why I
got the
think
impression, well, he said the Southbridge line was wrong, thinking 169, but
169.
maybe there's other.
But I think that's where the disconnect is. The information should be sent out immediately to all departments when there's something like that going on, but you have to hear it from,
How did you hear about it?
Well, because I'm friends with some of the people on the Southbridge Council,
Yeah?
and they were concerned, they're concerned about it because it's on the Southbridge line. They're concerned about the health possibilities of something blowing up or something.
Yeah.
So, because it's on their line, but it's actually in Charlton. So, I don't know.
How ironic.
Just when you get over one hurdle, huh?
So
Mr.
I don't
Jordan?
know, I don't know really, I
Oh,
just
boy.
found out about
Me
it.
I'll ask Bill Scanlon tomorrow for an
Sunday
update if he has any
night.
plans and I'll get him.
Can you just let us know, because May 29th. And where is that? What board is?
Charlton Middle.
Charlton Middle School?
Yeah. It's the natural gas storage project. And
I'll
it
ask
had
Bill
major
Scan-
changes, and I guess there's been other, it's been around for a while.
Natural,
That's that 1 million gallon facility?
It's big.
Yeah. I
It's
think it
big.
was the one they were
This
talking
is
about
the
on
one.
Route 20, he's moving to
That's
that alternate
ultimate.
site.
so that's it? It's just
7
a
PM?
location move, maybe?
Well,
Maybe.
moving locations requires a whole new plan of the terrain and where it's going to go and the butters and everything, so. I'll check with Bill Scanlon tomorrow, and if there's a plan or if there's an update, I'll make sure I let the board know, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, That's the first I've heard of it.
Was that 7 PM at the,
Yeah, it's at 7 PM, Charlton Middle School, May 29th.
And Kleinfeld is having an informational meeting at Heritage School. I'll give you the dates for the project update for the town. It's gonna be at the Heritage School.
can you let me know?
Yeah, I'll let you know, I'll send it. It's 7 to 9 PM. So I'll let the board know when it is. they changed the date, it was supposed to be at the library, and the library said they couldn't use the library. There was a mix-up in the scheduling, so they couldn't use the library.
Can I just touch in for the address, so I'll probably get some more information back.
Anything else on, in your neck of the woods? Yes, Mr. George?
Two more things.
Yes.
The road situation is horrible again, on Barefoot onto H-foot.
I did receive a couple complaints, I sent them over to Jerry,
It's on
because
Southbridge side though.
it's on the Southbridge side.
Yeah, outside the landfill, on Barefoot, right
Okay.
before it hits H-foot, between the
Could you
fence
send me
and-
another email, and I'll call Heather?
Yeah. I've had a few people call me to complain too so far.
I just didn't,
That-
I thought it was on the road condition. I took a ride up there, it's certainly not good, that's for sure. Especially going through
It's
all
that
that rain going
non-paved
through there.
area between
Yeah,
the blue
it's
building and
horrible,
the fence,
yeah.
yeah.
I almost turned around because I didn't want to get my car there.
Well, that's what I said when I made the
It's clay, it
complaints
doesn't come off.
months ago, when I said that they need to fix it, not to just put dirt in there, cause all it's gonna be is a huge mud puddle, and
That's
that's
what it
all they
is.
did, they put in 2 feet of dirt, and it's just nonstop.
And with all the rain, you can't even see where the potholes are driving through there.
And then the other item was the initial site assessment scope of work has a conditional permit, a conditional approval from the DEP for them to move forward with their assessment of the site, how they're gonna monitor the site, how they're gonna determine to monitor the site. And I haven't read all through it yet, but I don't think there's anything in there about what we've been talking about for over a year, about what they're gonna do, if anything, about monitoring wells and homes on 10 Schoolhouse Hill and Sawmill Circle that aren't getting water as the plume migrates. I know they maintain it doesn't go their direction, although there's people in front of them on Berry Corner that have had contamination, so. I don't know if you wanna contact the DEP and ask them, is this the time for the board to request, what do we need to do about getting input to this? Because the 21-day comment period's open, but I don't know if this is the phase where it should be brought up about what are we gonna do about these people, or not. Maybe it's worth a call, just to ask Jim McQuaid.
I would think
Okay,
so.
I just received
I
it
would
today.
ask, I would definitely ask, because
Yeah. I just wanna bring it up again because I know I've brought it up and it's never been the time to do it
if
until
it
the
migrated to
closure
your
permit
houses,
is there.
it's probably not just gonna stop.
Well, we know that already from, like the
Yeah.
Exxon, so.
I'll take a look.
My
at it.
concern is Gould Cemetery Road also.
Yeah, and I brought that up too. I brought up Gould.
What's gonna happen with that?
Yeah,
So, I don't know if this is the phase of the
I
project.
met with
where-
DEP to speak on that issue, and they're supposed to be working on it, so, but there are filtration system, there are bottled water being delivered, and
and they're still doing testing every, 3 months or something?
Yep.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
yes,
So
yeah.
John actually asked us for an action as far as the open 21-day period, so I think the board should reach out to DEP
In an
and
official
just
letter?
blatantly ask them, say, what are we gonna do about the mitigation process for, like you're saying, those roads?
Tens
They've
of
never
Laurel
been
Road and
tested.
Sawmill Circle.
And they've never been
Draft
tested
up a
on
letter
those
and the
people.
board can look at it.
Yeah,
I know what he's talking about, we've talked about it before in many meetings. You know,
Because
one
this is
thing,
time sensitive.
right.
10 Schoolhouse Road and Sawmill, what's the future plan? There's gonna be a sentinel well there, they're gonna pay to monitor it, so it doesn't, you have to have some kind of safety set up. You can't just let them leave and not have any kind of testing.
Correct. I'm surprised it's not part of the plan.
They're supposed to grab one of those wells, I think on the corner there, 74 10 Schoolhouse Road.
Probably the guy who's getting connected, yeah.
He's got that
I
other
think
well,
so.
and I think they were gonna use that well as testing. Yeah.
Sure.
But I think the DEP might be doing that, not
Yes, the
them,
DEP.
which is fine, as long as somebody's monitoring.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a possibility of, I know I've had residents on Hill and Sawmill Circle. One woman told me a story about her child with cancer, not saying it's related, but about our Board of Health possibly testing a few people up there like we've done at the other place. Not that it's gonna put us on the hook, but it would certainly maybe. We had Southbridge do it for people on Clements and Pleasant as a Board of Health. You know, they went through a whole process, Andy's well aware of it. I know you talked about doing it at the other place, so I just don't know if it's a possibility or not for some of the people up there who've been here at meetings, who have had concerns that are too far away from the furthest house to be tested, so.
Because they're beyond the 500.
They're beyond 500 from
500.
74.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'd be on board with that testing. My question is, how would this board get about the funding to do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have, money is going, we're gonna run out.
right. I would put it in the letter to ask, you know, and maybe be specific, just say 2 houses, 3 houses, something, beyond these, whatever wells they're gonna use.
Because I do think Hill Street should get it.
Yeah, I've had people up there worried about it for a long time.
There's quite a few houses up
What
there.
street, Matt?
Hill Street. It's where like Sampson kind of bends to the left and
Yeah, it's that dirt road that's never
goes
gonna get
straight up.
paved
There's
by
quite
the
a few
town.
houses up there.
It's a bad road. They should get paved too, that's such a shame. That road washes out with gullies like this.
You go by the golf course,
Oh, yeah.
and then the road itself takes a major left. You
Yeah.
could go
Oh, yeah.
straight down the hole. That's the
Oh,
street.
okay, that one. I was there because a little up the street from Coleman's house, the beavers had blocked off the road and it was flooded over. The drainage underneath the road,
Oh, there, that bridge there?
yeah, it was
Oh,
blocked.
really? Oh, wow.
It was blocked.
So, as far as what John's throwing out there, maybe in our letter to DEP, we ask them,
Ask the
Say
DEP
this-
if they'll test it.
ask DEP if they can afford to test 2 or 3 houses as far as, you know, as far as their water project.
DEP can just send them the bill if they do it, if they feel if they
Right.
want to. I mean, they're the ones that find them all that money for the, but I believe the DEP's on site there now,
Who's
doing, the DEP has,
I'd say
on site at the landfill.
he goes pretty often, I know
Yeah.
other people do too. Yeah.
They're
And
just,
they've been going to Sturbridge testing wells too, quite often,
yes.
because of the lead
Linda
issue
did-
out there.
Linda did call, so.
So if they won't test, at least if they explain to us what they are testing, maybe we'll get a better understanding and maybe it will answer
I
what
can
John
reach
said.
out to Mark Baldy, he's the one to ask.
But we're under a time sensitive 21-day period,
Yep.
so